Inside Training Camp presented by Xfinity. Hello everyone, I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, along with Chris McPherson. We're here at the NovaCare Complex. The Eagles starting their second week of the preseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the opponent on Thursday night, and we've got a lot to get to on this Monday from South Philadelphia. First, Chris, a little injury update. Nothing new to report. Carson Wentz still out. Jordan Matthews still out. Two significant names in the big scheme of things here.
Certainly, well, more so with Jordan Matthews. He's the one that you're going to want to see with the offense at some point, hopefully during the preseason. And there's still some optimism regarding whether he'll be available for the third preseason game, which is always the dress rehearsal. With Carson Wentz, look, obviously he'll make the most of the mental reps during this time, and hopefully he could possibly be back for that preseason finale. Maybe we'll learn about that later on in the show. But the thing with him is you really want that physical development. Get those live reps now because you're hoping to shelve them once the regular season begins.
And we'll hear from head coach Doug Peterson in just a bit. But first, we want to hear from the offensive coordinator. Frank Reich is here. He understands that there are some challenges with this group. The offense not producing at a high level for 60 minutes in the preseason opener. And with Lane Johnson's impending 10-game suspension, the Eagles moving some pieces around on the offensive line. Left guard Alan Barber goes to right tackle. Third-round draft pick Isaac Seumalo goes to left guard. And Reich says that is par for the course in the NFL. You must be versatile up front.
Yeah, I mean, Alan's a pro. He's versatile. He's played there before. It's standard course of business in the NFL, to rotate linemen around, get them a lot of reps. Obviously, with the, with situations, it's that good time in camp where you got to move guys around because invariably throughout the season, you just see it. I mean, it's stories written about it every week in 32 cities. You never are rarely playing with the same offensive line at all five positions the whole year, so you got to prepare for that. And this is a good step for us. And Allen is a pro, and he can make that adjustment, and we have high expectations for him. Isaac's progress has been really good. When you see a young guy who has the physical ability and the smarts that he has, it really shows up on film. He's an explosive athlete for an offensive lineman, and when he's right, it's eye-catching. When he's right on the film, it's eye-catching. But like many young players, you still got to iron out. You can't have low lows and high highs. There's got to be the consistent highs, and that's what most of the young players really are always working on, eliminating the bad play. It's like in golf, the bad shot can't be that bad. And so that's part of the goal as a player. When you're having a bad play, it just can't be that detrimental to the team. You got to find a way to be consistently good.
Coming into this season, the Eagles felt like the offensive line would be a major strength. They went out and signed Brandon Brooks in free agency. Stefan Wisniewski added as a piece of insurance. 2 draft picks added as well, including Seumalo, who could be an immediate starter here. The question here, Chris, is with Barber at right tackle and Seumalo at left guard, can the Eagles still be a top-flight offensive line?
I certainly can, and the reason I'm going to say yes is because of the coaching staff in place and what they're going to do to try to get the 5 best guys on the field. You look back to 2013. It was Chip Kelly's first season in Philadelphia, and they had the same offensive line for the entire season, and that is such a rarity. Frank Reich said it, you're going to have to work with different lineups throughout the course of the season. And as you said, Dave, the Eagles invested heavily in the offensive line, both in free agency and the draft, to give this team, the offense, the best chance to succeed because you want to give Sam Bradford, the quarterback, as much protection and open up as many lanes for Ryan Matthews and the rest of the running backs as possible. It all starts up front, going back, once again, to the old Andy Reid mantra.
Yeah, and it might start up front, but it might also be expanded to beyond offensive linemen. The Eagles want to mix and match their personnel. The tight ends, who we think are going to be really involved in the passing game, also might have to be involved very heavily in the run game, in the blocking game. And that's okay with Zach Ertz, who's off to a terrific start this summer. If he is called upon to be a blocker, Ertz says that is fine and dandy, whatever it takes to help this team win.
I mean, obviously, coming in as a receiving tight end, I've had to put a lot of time and energy into the blocking side. With the injuries and the pending suspension and everything like that, I got to do whatever the offense needs, and if that's catching as many balls as possible or if that's chipping on every pass protection, I'm not going to be the one deciding that, but I can't get mad if I'm not getting the ball because I got to help out the offensive line. I'm going to do whatever the coaches need me to do. If the offensive line needs some help, the tight ends and running backs are going to be the ones that have to help out. Sometimes we got to stay in in and pass protect. Sometimes we got to chip and run some shorter routes. So everything, I mean, football is such a team game. I think it's really evident in that regard.
And this is one of the reasons we so look forward to Thursday night against Pittsburgh. The Eagles are going to have to make some adjustments, maybe not necessarily for this game in particular, but looking ahead to September 11th with all of these personnel groupings, somehow the Eagles got to find a way to move the ball. And the wide receivers have not been productive. The tight ends very productive. The run game spotty. Chris, how do they change things up here?
Well, what I like about the offense as a whole is that they're going to give the offensive line help. That's something you haven't seen the last couple of years, and that could be through running backs chipping out of the backfield. It could be the tight ends staying in to help a little more. And I actually had a chance to talk with tight ends coach Justin Peel a little while ago, and he said that you look at Selleck, you look at Ertz, and they've vastly improved their blocking capabilities over the last year. You're seeing Trey Burton and the involvement that he's having with the offense. So I definitely think the myriad of personnel packages will definitely help diversify the offense and try to create those mismatches that the Eagles want to have on offense this season.
So it's fair to say the offense is a work in progress. The Eagles recognize that. We'll see what they do starting Thursday against the Steelers. Next up here on Inside Training Camp, presented by Xfinity, the head coach, Doug Peterson, in studio talking Eagles.
I got tickets, Metro tickets. You need a Metro ticket. Talk to me, please.
How do we even know these are real tickets?
You just touch it.
How do I know they're legit?
Is this leather legit? I mean, how do we really know? It looks good, right?
Is the Metro paying you to do this?
No, I'm paying myself. I gotta make profit.
That makes more sense.
Does the baby need a Metro ticket? I'll give her one on me. These tickets, they're not stealing your soul. You can look at them. Man, nobody wants to buy tickets from a guy on the street. I don't understand.
Hi, I'm Bo Allen from the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is the Allen from Bob's Discount Furniture.
We named it after Bo.
Thanks, Bob. You're the man.
It packs some serious power. Power recline, power headrest, and USB ports. Get the sofa or console love seat in dark chocolate or light brown, an untouchable value at only $7.99 each.
I don't know how you do it, Bob, but man, do I respect it. You know how players show respect after big games?
Nope.
We swap jerseys.
We've got head coach Doug Peterson here to talk about the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night. Coach, thanks for joining us here. Let's first start, if we could, with Thursday night against Tampa Bay. You take the first two possessions on offense in the red zone, put it in the end zone. How high on the list of Doug Peterson edicts is red zone touchdown efficiency?
Very high, because once you, offensively, once you put the ball into the red zone, whether it be a long drive and or like we started the game with a special teams fumble recovery, I expect our offense to score touchdowns. And field goals are great, but we want touchdowns, and we want a lot of them once we get in the red zone. What
is the key to success in the red zone? Because it has not been a very fruitful place for the Eagles of late.
Well, I think number one, it can be your personnel, obviously, putting your players in positions to make plays down there, taking advantage of what the defense is giving you offensively. And what I mean by that is you're seeing a lot more drop 8 coverages down there. So if you have to run the ball, you run the ball. You can utilize your quarterback's mobility a little bit down there. And at the same time, you want to stay ahead of the chains. You got to continue to constantly grind it out down there and get it closer and closer, to the goal line. And then, like we said, just eventually score touchdowns.
Beyond those two possessions, what did you think of the offense the rest of the game?
There were a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of mistakes. The one thing that was encouraging though is the effort, the hustle. Guys were going in the right direction. Obviously the penalties overall. The penalties, we did have the one red zone turnover down there offensively, which we can't have. But those are things that are correctable and things that we can fix. We're still in training camp mode. This is that time to get those things fixed for the young players and give them another shot against Pittsburgh coming up.
Doug, interesting moves up front, moving Alan Barber, at least for now, to right tackle. Isaac Somalo plays left guard. Why that combination, and is that the combination that you hope to move forward with?
Potentially, yeah, and it's something this week that Coach, talking with Coach Stoutland, that we want to mix some pieces up front, and find those 5 guys that are going to be there for us opening day, and right now that's our best 5 going forward, and we want to see that combination of guys. I want to see Isaac next to Jason Peters and Kelsey, and then Allen has played the tackle position. Not so much right tackle, but it's a position that he's comfortable playing. He's been there before. And then we got some young guys behind him. You got your Dennis Kellys, your Big V's in there. Tobin has a really good camp. So, there's some good combinations that we can continue to explore in these next couple of weeks.
How versatile is Allen? I mean, people, I guess on the outside, don't see him as an athletic, versatile kind of player. They see him as a big, strong mauler inside. But he has played the edge, and he does have great athletic ability, right?
He does have great athletic ability, and obviously we saw that as a guard, and now for me, going back and even watching some of his Green Bay tape as a tackle to really evaluate and get a good feel for him. And then he played it here in Philadelphia. He actually played tackle against the Steelers a year or two ago, and so I love his versatility, and that's what you need from your offensive linemen nowadays. You need those guys that can play multiple positions, guards that can play centers, and guards that can move out to tackle, or a tackle that can play left and right. So, he's a guy that can fit a lot of those molds.
Doug, the wide receiver position has drawn a lot of attention. Your thoughts on how that group has played?
Well, obviously it hurts to not have Jordan out there. I think he's a presence. He's a dominant force on the field when he's there. His work ethic is second to none, and guys can feed off of that. On top of that is, we're dealing with some young guys, and we're working with some young guys, and they're grinding it out every day. I mean, that's what camp is for, and stick them on the jugs machines and the tennis ball machines after practice, so they can eliminate some of those focus drops that I would call, just taking your eyes off the ball, and they're doing a nice job. You can see the improvement. You can see what Greg Lewis has done with these guys and the detail in their work, and it's a physical group. I like to see them get in there and block a little bit, block these safeties and kind of mix it up. So it's a group that's still learning, still growing, a young group, but encouraged in the direction they're headed.
Sam played three snaps on Thursday night, puts the ball in the end zone. Do you have a feel for Thursday night and how much you want to see him on the field?
I definitely want to go more than 3 plays. Hopefully we can take him into the end of the first quarter, maybe even into the second quarter, and really watch that offense work a little bit and get some more guys, some touches, maybe get Darren involved a little bit more, and but yeah, it's I like where our first unit's at. They're really grinding through everything. Sam, where he's at mentally with you. We got a volume. I mean, we got libraries of information in right now of football, and we begin to scale it back for these preseason games a little bit and focus a little more on a specific game plan of plays. So I just want to see them, again, execution, play longer, and then still come away healthy.
What does Carson do now that he is sidelined? How does he become a better quarterback during this period of time? I know it's all the mental reps at this point.
It's all the mental reps. In 2004, when I injured my back in Green Bay, I was still a big part of the offensive, the quarterback room. I still want him plugged in and getting the mental reps. I was on the sideline. I was during games. I traveled with the football team. And so, I want Carson to do the exact same thing. And he is a smart guy, but at the same time, being able to take a mental rep on the field as opposed to being inside and doing something else is valuable for him and his growth. So, it's a matter of him just taking advantage now of this time, seeing it from a little wider perspective, and really learn and make some strides. He
said that he would like to play, or he hopes to play, in that preseason finale. Do you think that's realistic?
I think it's realistic. I had the same injury when I played here in 1999, and again in 2000 in Cleveland, had the same type of thing, and it was during the regular season, and ended up playing the next week. So I would expect him to be a part of that last game.
Doug, on Thursday night, the Eagles forced a fumble on the opening kickoff, 2 big kickoff returns, a big field goal. Coverage was very good. We don't talk much about special teams, but it's got to be part of the formula for winning football games. How do you feel about the group that Dave's potentially here going to put together? Can it be one of the best in the league?
I think it can, and without a doubt, and Coach Phipp has done a nice job these last couple of years. He's a big part of why he's still here and why I, got so many phone calls about Coach Phipp. Guys were saying, you don't have to worry about special teams. You got one of the best coaches. So I've been pleased with the way he's, there's a lot of moving parts in training camp, as with special teams and finding the right combination of guys and to do what they did the other night. That's a great way to get started and again, look forward to the regular season and really, especially early in the season where defense and special teams can be your biggest advocates. It becomes real important.
And the defense had 4 takeaways on Thursday night. I mean, what a great start for Jim Schwartz's group.
great start, and it's something that we talk about all the time. With them is one, just to fly around, make plays, put hands on the football, and they did a great job. Even the young guys at the end of the game, making that play in the end zone to ice the game for us, just shows their drive, their competitiveness, the things that I was talking about even through OTAs with that competition, and you saw it the other night.
It'll be Sam, then Chase Daniel, then McLeod Bethel Thompson on Thursday night. Not a lot of fans know about McLeod Bethel Thompson, and I know that he's been around the league a little bit. What can you tell the fans about him?
Yeah, here's a guy, big arm. Big arm. Probably the strongest of the four that we have, and very athletic, a guy that can move around. The one downside is he hasn't had many reps in training camp, but he's getting more now this week, and I really look forward to him playing and watching him and putting himself on tape. And again, I've been in his shoes, so I understand where he's at, and it's just a matter of him now, sort of calming the storm when he gets out there, letting things just kind of develop in front of him. But I think he's a guy that can be very explosive at quarterback.
A familiar foe on Thursday night, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They come to Philadelphia week 3 of the NFL season. Doug, how do you play it? Is there a sense of we don't want to show them much, or does it really not matter at this point?
Well, you're still evaluating your team, so you keep your game plan simple so they can go out and play fast and execute the offense and defense in the special teams game, and then you don't want to show all your cards in this game, because we do play them in a few weeks again, but at the same time, you just want to see that fire and that drive and that competitiveness in your players, because we're still in that evaluation process.
Thursday night in Pittsburgh, the Eagles and the Steelers. Comcast Sportsnet, Cozy TV. Coach Doug Peterson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Dave.
In studio here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com.
Love me tender, love me sweet.
The stronger the love, the greater the responsibility. But you don't have to do it alone.
My life complete.
Lincoln Financial helps you provide for and protect your financial future. Because this is what you do for people you love. Talk to an advisor. Lincoln Financial. You're in charge.
I've been an athlete for as long as I can remember. In the summer, I was taking a long bike ride, and when I looked up, a tree had fallen across the shoulder of the road. And when I came to, I couldn't feel anything below my neck, and I thought my life had changed forever. I was helivaced to Jefferson Hospital, and the Rothman doctors did an emergency procedure and fused the vertebrae in my spine. Now I'm back on the bike, I'm enjoying myself, and it's all thanks to the Rothman doctors at Jefferson.
Mix and match any two for just $2.50 on McDonald's McPick 2 menu. Choose from a McDouble, McChicken sandwich, 6-piece chicken McNuggets, or small fries. I'm loving it. We welcome you back, Dave Spadaro and Chris McPherson. Here, it's Inside Training Camp presented by Xfinity, and training camp closes down to the public after Tuesday's session. So it's been a pretty long journey, quite an interesting journey with Doug Peterson at the helm for the first time.
How many times can we work the journey?
And many times.
Right here.
Let's keep talking about it.
Indeed. That's going to be our segue to our next feature, which is a teaser for this week's episode of The Journey. We spent the entire show talking about the offense, who can step up and help in 2016. Well, how about running back Kenyon Barner or wide receiver Josh Huff? Former college teammates at Oregon, reunited once again in Philadelphia. Here is their journey on this week's episode, presented by AAA.
What I found out about this team during training camp is that we're going to continue to battle for one another, because we all know how bad we want it and how bad we want it for the city. So our main focus is just to keep going with our head down and work as hard as we can. And for myself, my personal goal is to just to, again, be the best player I can be for my teammates. And whether that's blocking, whether that's receiving, or whether that's running the ball, I'm going to do everything I can to get us over that hump and get us into the playoffs and get us to where we want to get.
Last year was a huge year for me, confidence-wise. Confidence is key at this level because you're so used to being the guy in high school, you're used to being the guy in college, and then you get here, you have to wait your turn, you have to be patient. You know, going back to my days in Carolina, being there with those group of guys, then transitioning from there to being here with Deuce and having Darren Sproles and Ryan here, and it's been a blessing to be able to kind of sit underneath these guys and really learn from them and go out and implement what they teach me in the meeting room and on the field and put it into my game on the field. Man, it's been an absolute great journey so far.
That full episode available tomorrow right here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com as the Eagles close up shop, break camp on Wednesday, and head to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers.
It's interesting because they play the Steelers early in the regular season, week 3, so how much are you going to really show? We obviously need to learn more about this football team, but you don't want to show too much.
Yeah, Doug Peterson talked about that when he was in studio, and you can still run your offense.
Certainly.
And not show what you're going to do when you specifically game plan for the Steelers. Remember, preseason is about finding the best 53 players for your roster, and that is still the objective in Game 2.
All right, well, speaking of that Peterson interview, if you miss it, we will have it for you on demand first thing tomorrow morning. And also the Spotlight Forum, which Dave hosted about playmakers on defense.
Yeah, Lito Shepherd, Darwin Walker, William Thomas, really good stuff as they reminisced about their days in Philadelphia with the Eagles. Some very fine days indeed for all three.
All right, so late Tuesday morning, we will carry Sam Bradford's final press conference prior to the Pittsburgh game for you live to get his remarks and what he hopes to accomplish as he'll probably play into the second quarter after getting all of 3 snaps in the preseason debut. And of course, at 7 p.m. on Thursday, you can watch the Eagles travel to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. That's on Comcast Sportsnet, Cozy TV, and also on NFL Network.
Indeed. Really?
Yes, indeed.
My sideline gigs on NFL Network. All right. It's going to be a fun time on Thursday night as the Eagles shoot for their second preseason win. We've got another show for you on Tuesday before we get there, and then on Wednesday as well, so stick with us throughout the week. And thanks so much for joining us today. For Chris McPherson, I'm Dave Spadaro. Have yourselves a great Eagles day.